Hey heroes, welcome back to the extended edition of Heroes of the Horn, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am Sir Matt.
And I am Ser Ezra. And friends, we are back here covering just the prologue, a 3-hour long prologue with 11 points of view. It is quite intense, my friends, quite intense. I think, let me double check this real quick. Yeah. Okay. The first time that Demondred is really seen, or we get the thing with him, is Lord of Chaos Prologue. So you can click on that. You can see 3 years after the beginning of the yeah, that there it is. That's kind of cool, right? Out the gate, we get this Demondred, who's one of the 13 original Forsaken, was born 400 years before the War of the Shadow, and he's he's back. He's talking to the Dark One. I just feel like you get the term Nameless, by the way, which is pretty cool. Hoping to be named Nameless. I don't know if they've mentioned it before.
No.
Okay. We figure out pretty quickly that the person who stands directly below the Dark One and will rule the world, commanding all others, is essentially Nameless. And so, by the way, shout out to Nameless, the YouTuber. That's his whole thing. You know, that's his whole channel. He is Nameless. He's a bad guy. Okay, so there's that. But yeah, so Demondred is interesting, and I think people will be vying now that the Forsaken fight for this position. They want to be named Nameless. They want, when the Dark One wins, it's a prize to be considered the greatest of those immortals, kind of, high up there, if you will. So that was really cool. Other things that I think, just off the cuff here, that are really interesting. Matt said it kind of the more gaze stuff, I think is wild, that we do get all of that stuff, that she's back. The craziest piece for me is Talonvor. Talonvor is like there, and you can already tell there's a crush developing or something going on with this man. Matt, has she not, like, we already learned from Tom Maryland that he had a relationship with Morgaze, and Elaine has been tugging on his mustache and his beard, and getting close to him. So we learned that, like, Morgaze has had a couple of different lovers, and Gabriel. That's the whole thing. When Gabriel / Ravine shows up, he courts her. Now he does use compulsion and actually compels her to do things. But now Talonvor is there, and I just think he's an interesting character. They're kind of scolded. I mean, they don't know she was compelled, so it's tough because they're really upset with her and the way she let Caemlyn fall from her grip, because I think he believed in her. A lot of people believed that she was a good queen, and now it's really bad. It looks like a really bad stain, I guess, for Morgaze and
well, I mean, you lose your kingdom. Yeah, that's a pretty bad stain.
Well, it is even too, like what they mentioned here and in the last couple chapters with Morgaze, is just that, like, it's not that she it was even more that it's not just that she got ousted by, like, a villain or something. It's that, like, the way the villain ousted her made her look bad to, like, soiled alliances, soiled relationships with people. And so it's like, really, just to be defeated in a battle or to lose or whatever is one thing, but, like, she was doing stuff that, like, personally got under people's skin, like was having arguments and was really sending people away. And like, I think when Matt shows up too, you learn that Gareth Bryn has been sent away. You're like, why is her top commander sent away? So just a really hard thing for her to come back from. And Elaine knows none of this stuff, right? And Elaine just wants to go back, and they believe she's dead, and so we have to go back and kind of reclaim our place there. So yeah, another one that's interesting. Let me see here. Masana. Masana is one of the Forsaken who shows up, and let me see. She is trying to remember if she has been referenced before this point. Yeah, refused to nah. I don't know. I don't know that she actually the Dragon Reborn. Huh. Okay, she is referenced, I guess, in a few other places here. her timeline's a bit all over the spot. And I don't want to bounce too far ahead here. But yeah, so Masana is mentioned, which is cool. We've been following Lanfear, Ravine, Samael. We've seen Bathamo like defeated. We've seen Agonor defeated. So on. We've just interesting. Now we have more of these individuals showing up right out the gate, right in the prologue, and it's cool.
And I like that. I like that it shifts around. I mean, it literally is like, hey, we're gonna catch you up with every single thing.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, I was doing the math over here, trying to see exactly which chapters are like the longest. I guess there's a chapter in the final book that's like 20,000. It's like 200 pages long.
Wow. Holy.
Anyway, the word count for this is almost 29,000. So
wow.
I think that it is the largest chapter, by the way, that we've had so far.
Yeah.
There are a few that get a little close, because there were some pretty big ones there in the Fires of Heaven, but I believe that it is the longest chapter so far.
Yeah, well, and it's also one of the most complex. I mean, because like you said, not only is it long, but it bounces around between so many points of view.
It's almost every region. You really almost get caught up on every region, which is cool because there's a lot of characters who we do need it, which is cool because there's like, for starters, we didn't even see Perrin and Fail, so it's like what's been going on with them. And then like it's kind of cool because a big event happened, right? Like a lot of things happen really all at once in the last book, and it literally affects the entire world essentially. Where it's like Rand is like making moves, Morghese has been deposed, the Forsaken are doing stuff. So there's a lot of pieces moving. So that's one of the things I really liked with this chapter, even though it jumped around a lot, was hey, all the chess pieces basically just moved at once.
Yeah, they did. Yes. Which is a good thing. It's just for me, I remember, I don't know. I mean, again, it's so exciting because you've got so many different pieces here. You've got Savannah, you've got two different factions going to see Rand. You've got catch up on the Forsaken themselves. You've got Elaine and Nynaeve trying to figure out what to do with Suan and Leanne, and then Min and her dynamic between Elaine and who's going to go see Rand. Is she jealous? I mean, it's literally a lot, but it still feels really good because it's very quick. It's just enough. It's a quick taste, and it's kind of setting up the what it does is it sets up all these different story plots. Like, we're going to follow each of these. We're going to follow the group of members from the White Tower that are going to Cairhien. We're going to follow. It's pretty. I mean, this is not spoiler. I wouldn't think, but you're going to follow the group that is being sent out with Min. Min is saying she's going to go to Caemlyn. You're going to stay in Salidar with Nynaeve, Elaine, Suan, and Leanne, at least for start. Like, the next chapter we pick up, they still should be there until they leave, what else? There's the one thing we don't get is Rand. We have, like, what's saved is Rand and Matt are kind of, tabled a little bit. Actually, let me see something here that's kind of interesting. So Nynaeve, Elaine, Gwen. Okay, so there's a few, but there's so many of the girls are brought up here, like Nynaeve, Elaine, Fail, Katarine, who that's the first time she's mentioned, brand new character. She is in New Spring, but up until this point, we didn't know who she was. Savannah, we've heard of before. Morghese, we know. Pedro and Nile, we get his perspective. And then the new ones, like Demondred, Masana, and someone who has come back, Osengar is back. And that's the one we finish on, which is the most mysterious thing. Like, they're touching their face and their body, saying, this is not my body. This is not the body I was in before. And the same thing is going on with Osengar. So wild. Very, very, very wild. And those actually the characters I'm going to be doing my spoiler edition on too. So we'll take you through some of the Forsaken that were mentioned in the prologue, just those Forsaken in the prologue. And we'll go through their different arcs and talk about where they're going to go. Because it's a wild ride, and remembering where they all go, and then how they all interconnect is pretty pretty cool. But how did you feel? I mean, like, you felt good. This was a good opening.
I did because I was left with sort of being a little bit down on the last book, and I like that again. I feel like everyone's sort of back. There was definitely the only thing that I didn't necessarily like, but I guess I'm okay with it, was the more Gaze point of view, just because I feel like it could have been cooler to see her maybe like, oh, she's actually alive
Mm-hmm.
right out the get-go, because you kind of lose, I guess, that mystery of her being dead. But again, I mean, it starts off and it's the Dark One himself talking, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was super cool. And everybody wants Rand for his own purpose. Now, we didn't actually get anything from Rand in this, but that's okay, because I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah. So yeah, the story is set up here. Which one are you most interested? Like, the plot lines. Which one are you most interesting? Besides, like, we know Rand, just following Rand is that's a given.
Actually, I'm actually kind of excited to see. I feel like maybe, and again, this is my first read, so I don't know, but I feel like Elaine's finally going to come, sort of get her own little story here,
All
because
right.
I feel like she's set up now, where it's like,
She has that special power to the ability to create Tir Grial, which is brand new. People are like,
well,
"Wait,
yeah,
that's
and
cool."
it's not just that, but it's also like her mom was deposed. She doesn't know, so I feel like the time for her to shine is finally coming.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because she has been kind of, we're getting some backstory on Tom and, Camelin politics and relationships and that kind of stuff, but she's been tagging along with Nynaeve, doing some cool stuff up on a high wire with the circus chapters, and so, like, yeah,
Right.
I feel you. I mean, yeah, her mom has been it's kind of a big deal. Godwin too, right? That's his mother,
Yes.
and so
Yes. By the way, I just did the math, and sort of pulled it up here. So I think this might be the second largest chapter in the entire series,
oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
to the final battle, which is
Yeah.
78,919 words.
Yeah. Wow.
Just insane. So
Yeah.
this chapter is like 26,000.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the final battle is 200 pages long, 78,919 words.
Yeah.
That's like 6 hours.
It's insane.
Why is it one chapter? I mean,
I think it's because Robert Jordan had a lot of it,
done.
penciled down, and it was just he thought it was one book. When he handed it to when, Harriet hands it to Brandon Sanderson,
The last
they
battle was gonna be one
he
book.
where Brandon picks up, he extends it by he says it's gotta be 3 books. It's too much. Too
The
much.
last battle itself is like a book.
Yeah, be honest with you, the last 3 books are pretty much the last battle. Like, there's so much happening in the last 3 books that, like, yes, I mean, the final book, obviously, there's the battle, but, like, everything that he had leading up to it was just too much. Too many people to get orchestrated, to get lined up. It was supposed
Yeah,
to be, what was it, 10 or 11 or something, like 9?
yeah.
I can't remember. So, and
So
he
yeah,
thought,
so that's got it. I think this is, just in looking. There could be other chapters, but I think this is, just by sort of looking here, I think this is the second largest chapter in the entire series.
which Matt is cool because this is again a lot of
It's a
it,
big deal. It's in the middle, and it
right,
sort of is. Yeah,
it
it's
sets
sort
up a
of
lot
like
of new
the
things.
Dark One is finally making some moves.
Yeah, well, and you've lost some of the Forsaken, and people have been fighting, and like you said, Couladin's gone, Ravine's gone, others of the Forsaken are gone. Now we have people stepping back on the stage, and this Shadar Haran, people when this first came out, they're like, "Who is this guy? Who is this
Right.
Murdral that's speaking for the Dark One and speaks with his voice?" It's a mystery. It's crazy. Um, so that's a bit touchy, and new. So yeah, you feel like you're getting a peek behind the curtain a little bit and learning more about what's happening at Share Ghoul
Yeah.
and
Ooh, this one might be there too. This one's pretty big. The final chapter of Winter's Heart looks pretty enormous.
okay.
it's got to be. It's probably around here, like maybe 20,000.
And a lot of the
like that.
spoilers I'm doing next take you up through Winter's Heart, actually. So that's kind of where some things.
So some other big chapters here. I know. Just to kind of, chapter 24, which is towards the end of Path of Daggers, is pretty massive. This is kind of cool. Just it's on the Wheel of Time thing. So it doesn't tell me what's going on, but it just sort of shows you like word count per chapter, which is pretty big. The prologue of the next book is pretty huge too. Or no, the prologue of A Crown of Swords. That's the next book, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but from what I can gather, I think this is the second largest chapter in the entire series,
which is great.
So I think it's like the last battle, prologue of Lords of Chaos, and then I think whatever that sort of almost end chapter is of the prologue of the next book, and then end of the last book. So that's kind of cool. We're getting some. I just think sometimes the big chapters can be a little hard to follow because it's like, what's going on?
Well, actually, when you're listening, I remember when I first started, I had to start back over and say, hold on.
Like, what's going on? And they jump around. Yeah. So really, it's one of these things where this book series could almost be like, every book could be like 400 chapters if every point of view was its own chapter.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be wild if you did that. It's cool that they're interwoven. I like it but if you're listening along, sometimes like if you're doing like I listen and do laundry, you got it. They switch point of view. It doesn't hit. There's no one there.
And it'll switch narrators too.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is nice. That's why I'm glad that that we have two, like we've got husband and wife kind of doing the audiobook. It's cool. It's good. Helpful. So yeah, friends. All right. Well, hey, next up, I'm going to be doing the spoiler edition. Going to dive into a couple of these different things and just off the cuff, nothing crazy, but I want to talk about a few of these things just openly, and we'll go from there. So this is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So awesome. So, all right, guys, as always, thank you for supporting us here on Patreon and Apple Premium. For those of you guys who are, get ready, because I'm so excited to dive back into the books here and keep this train rolling on Wheel of Time. So, as always, thank you very much. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember that the grave is no bar to our call.